Today I will be telling you why you should become an organ donor. More than 122,000 people are currently on the organ transplant list today. That means that a new name is added every 10 to 12 minutes. This is a quote from the American Transplant Foundation. Some of the sources that I'll be using today are from the organdonor.gov, the American Transplant Foundation, and the Inspire Life New York website. My name is Sophie Roberts, and the three main steps that I'll be talking about today are the need step, the satisfaction step, and the visualization step. The need step is all about talking about the need of organ donors. We have a very low number of organ donors in America with a very high number of organ transplant recipients on the waiting list. The satisfaction step is about how we will persuade people by stating the facts and the process of organ donation. The third step is the visualization step. I'll share with you a personal story about an organ donor and its recipient and how it affected their lives. For this speech, I have reviewed the following information: facts about the low number of organ donors we have, facts about the increasing high number of organ recipients on the list, as well as personal examples that I will provide to my uncommitted audience listeners. On average, 18 people die every day waiting for an organ. That means 7% of the people on the transplant list die just waiting for an organ, which is 6,500 people. This is a quote from the American Transplant Foundation. On the screen, I have a picture that has a little girl standing next to a trash can. The headline says, "One of these will get your organs. You decide which one." Either you can donate your organs to a little girl or a little boy or an adult, or you can keep your organs and have them go to waste. The first step is the need step. The need is worldwide, not just in America. About 112,000 people received transplants in 2013. But that is not nearly enough to the amount of people that are on the transplant list across the nation and in other countries. Because of the desperate need of organs, we have seen a rise in the black market of organs, of sales of organs. That means that people are being paid to give up their organs, and they're shipped overseas or to different states and countries for people to buy and sell. The Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania found that only 40% of eligible Americans are organ donors. And that is not nearly enough because we have over 120,000 people on the list. They also found that Texas and New York, the second and third most populous state in the country, have only a 7 and 15% of eligible Americans in each state that are organ donors. Right now, there are more than enough people to fill a large football stadium 2 times with the amount of organ transplant recipients on the waiting list. This is a quote from organdonor.gov. Here we have a chart that shows the number of recipients on the waiting list. The gray line shows how many recipients in 2013. The number says 121,000 people. The red line shows how many transplants we actually had in 2013 in America, which was close to 29,000. The green line shows that we only had almost 15,000 organ donors. That is not nearly enough. That is almost 107,000 people who did not receive organs because of the lack of organ donors. This chart is from organdonor.gov. In order to meet the growing need of organs, I'm going to explain to you how the process of organ donation works. This is underneath our satisfaction step. Once we educate the public about the process, I believe that they will be more inclined to donate their organs and sign up as a donor. The first step in the process is you have to sign up. It's easy and takes less than 2 minutes. You can go to organdonor.gov, you'll click the state you live in, and you will put in personal information about yourself, and it will ask you some more personal information, and then you're an organ donor. The second step is if you're admitted to the hospital in a car accident and they need to save your life, just because you're an organ donor doesn't mean that they're going to not try as hard to save your life. They will give 110%. They're working to save your life and not worrying about the person who could receive your organs. However, if you happen to die because of a fatal car accident or any accident, they put your name into a computer and it tells you if you are an organ donor or not. If you are, they look for a recipient that matches all of your information and needs that specific organ. Once they find a recipient, they will take the donor into an operating room and remove organs that they need. They do this in a sterile, clean environment just like any other surgery with care and precaution. After they remove the organs, they transport them to the recipient, who is already in another operating room ready to be given a second chance at life. Those operators will carefully put the new organs into the recipient's body. After that, the recipient recovers and they are on the road to a second life. One organ donor can save up to 8 lives and enhance more than 100 lives. This is a quote from the American Transplant Foundation. Donate Life America is a nonprofit group that campaigns around the country to persuade people to become organ donors. They play a big part in the increasing number of organ donors that we see in this country today. This next quote is from a heart transplant recipient himself. He has a blog online that is mysecondheartbeat.blogspot. He has a quote on there that says, "Without the organ donor, there is no story. No hope, no transplant. But when there is an organ donor, life springs from death, sorrow turns to hope, and a terrible loss becomes a gift." The third step is the visualization step. This is a step where I will explain to you a personal story about a young donor and its recipient. We've already gone through the process, which is the satisfaction step. We've gone through the need step. I have told you the need of donors that we need. The visualization step is the example. This example is about a boy named Matthew. He died in a house fire in March of 2014 at the age of 21. He decided to become an organ donor at the age of 16 when he got his driver's license. His father said, "When you get your license and you check that box and you think it's just a small thing," but it was far from a small thing. This is a quote from the KTLA newscast when he died. The man who received Matthew's heart was a Vietnam vet. He was a grandfather of 3 kids and had been on the waiting list for 3 years. He needed a new heart because of a rare heart disorder that would prove to be fatal if not given a new heart. Once he was given a new heart, he was perfectly healthy again. He was able to play with his kids and be with his wife. In November of 2014, the 2 families agreed to meet, and it was a very emotional homecoming to meet each other. Matthew's sister said, "The heart that I grew up with, felt in all of my hugs when I hugged him, is still out there somewhere." And so that family got to listen to their son's heartbeat in the chest of the Vietnam vet. All this information is from the KTLA newscast. You have seen how becoming an organ donor can save lives. Now it's your turn to take action. I have talked about the alarming facts of the low number of organ donors and the increasing number of transplant recipients. I have given you personal examples, and I have told you how you're going to meet the need of organ donors. I have persuaded you to become an organ donor by calming your fears about the process and educating you. Here's where you need to go to sign up. You can go to www.organdonor.gov. Click on your state and it'll have you enter in all your personal information. Once you're done with that, you're good to go. All this right here is a chart from organdonor.gov. Most people don't think about the ages that people need transplants. It's not just older people, it's also anywhere from 1 year old and younger. These are numbers from 2013 when we had 28,000 people in America receive transplants. In the age group of 1 year old or younger, we had 260 people receive new organs. From the age group 11 to 17, we had 721 people receive a transplant. From 35 to 49, we had over 6,000 people receive transplant. And from 65 years and older, we had 5,000 people receive transplants. This is from an unknown author from quotegarden.com. It says, "Don't think of organ donations as giving up part of yourself to keep a total stranger alive. It's really a total stranger giving almost all of themselves to keep a part of you alive." Thank you for listening to my speech, and I hope that you will take action to become an organ donor today.